Hello and welcome to the Authentic Wednesday podcast. Each week, my guest and I share our vulnerable behind-the-scenes stories of giving ourselves permission to take off our masks, let go of our expectations, and embrace our own path of freedom and authentic connection. I'm your host, Bianca Hughes, a lover of authenticity and a licensed professional counselor in Georgia. Hello and welcome to the Authentic Wednesday podcast. It's episode 15 and it is me today. Hello and welcome. If you are listening to the podcast on the day it is released, which is December the 25th, I just want to say happy holidays. Hope you are enjoying the holidays if that is something you celebrate. If not, hopefully you're enjoying your day just regardless. As it is the holidays, I just wanted to give you some encouragement, just send you some love your way, because sometimes for some people the holidays can be difficult, and for some people it's a time to celebrate. The others, it's a reminder of who's not there. So there are all sorts of different emotions taking place over the holidays. So just a couple of things. If you are someone who is feeling lonely or felt lonely after the holidays, if you're listening to this after the holidays, I just want to let you know that I'm saying a prayer and I am thinking about you guys who may not be with someone or is feeling lonely, or the holidays didn't go the way that you had planned or wanted to. And I do really hope that things can change for you. Also, if you find that you were not able to find something that was enjoyable over the holidays, then really want to encourage you to take some time out and find something that brings you joy. Whether it's a person, whether it's a movie, whether it's a location, whether it's an activity, whatever the case may be, find something that brings you joy and makes you smile if you were in particular feeling lonely over the holidays. Another thing that I want to get into that can be difficult over the holiday, not just even Christmas, but also New Year, is boundaries. And so I wanted to talk really quickly about boundaries. Now, boundaries are about protection. Often I hear people saying things like, well, am I being mean when I set boundaries, or I'm cutting people off? Think your skin. Your skin is a boundary and it protects you from wounds and openness and infections, right? Because otherwise, if we didn't have skin, we would be exposed. Think about in the middle of the road, there's a yellow line, and that's there for our protection to know which side of the road we should go on. To the left or to the right, whatever the case may be, whatever country you are in. And that is also for our protection. If you think about a fence on your land, it's about protection. Or someone's got a dog on their land and they're protecting not only their dog, but other people from the outside. And so boundaries are about protection. They're not about being mean to people. I will say this. Boundaries are very, very difficult to set if you are not used to setting them. And boundaries could be for yourself just as much as it can be towards another person. So I always want to say, when setting boundaries, be prepared. Know the purpose of your boundary. Know the goal you want to achieve with your boundary. Either if it's respect, if it's not wanting to talk about a certain subject, if you're trying to meet a financial goal and not spend that much money, then respect those boundaries for yourself and know what they are ahead of time. Know the consequences, especially if you're dealing with other people who cross your boundary. Know the consequences of those boundaries. So if you ask someone not to mention a topic or talk about a topic and they keep pushing and keep asking you the same question, you can choose, am I going to keep reminding them? Am I going to keep silent? Am I going to just walk away? And so you think about those things. Just because you set a boundary, it doesn't mean that people are necessarily going to respect the boundary. And even if you set a boundary with yourself, it doesn't mean it's always going to be easy to keep. You're going to feel guilty. You're going to feel unsure. You're going to feel uncomfortable in those moments when you're getting used to setting a boundary. But here's what I want you to think about. I want you to think about the after. If you set the boundary and you continue to maintain the boundary, how will you feel afterwards? Will you feel peaceful? Will you feel joyful or will you still feel guilty? If you're still feeling guilty, that maybe that's something you want to look at. Do I still need this boundary? Or why am I really setting this boundary, and reassess? It doesn't mean necessarily you have to change. And so really think about that, the purpose of the boundary, what you're hoping to get. And when you're wanting to change your boundary because it doesn't feel good or you feel guilty, think about afterwards, if you maintain the boundary, how will you feel? Because you want to feel a sense of peace. You want to feel a sense of freedom. Trust me, I have set many boundaries and don't always feel great about them. But in the long run, it feels really, really good. Simple boundaries like, what time are you going to go to bed? Because I know if I go to my bed early, I'm going to feel so much better in the morning versus if I go late. So just those kind of basic boundaries just to think about that we set every day with ourselves. Another thing to think about is support or accountability for the boundaries. Do you need someone to hold you accountable for these boundaries, or are you able to do that for yourself? Do you need to let someone else know what you are doing that is new so they can remind you, hey, remember when you said you were going to do this? Remember you said you weren't going to spend this much money? Remember you said you weren't going to go out tonight? Remember you said you were going to only go out twice a week? Those sorts of things. Remember you said you wasn't going to talk to that person again. So do you need an accountability? Even when you have an accountability partner, you may not like that person when they're reminding you of the boundary. But if you can remind yourself of why you have an accountability person and their purpose and where you want to get to, it does make it easier. You probably might want to argue with them, but if you remember that it's for your good and for a purpose, it might become a bit easier. So those are some of the things I just want you guys to think about, and that's going to help you in regards to setting boundaries. And I always encourage you, write that down, write what are the goals? What are the purposes? Who is my accountability? What are the consequences? And write them all down so you have what I like to call a boundary plan. And so you can implement that and look back at that and refer to that when you're having a hard time. So also something I want to give you guys, I have created some journal prompts, some free journal prompts for you to get, which are actually on my website, and they are for boundaries and they are also for perfectionism, which I've mentioned that's something I work a lot on with my clients. And so you are able to get that on my website, which is biancahughes.com. And if you just go to the freebie section, you'll be able to sign up and download the journal prompts there. So I really hope this was helpful for you. As always, please share, please tag, please send me your feedback and any questions. And if this was helpful for you, I always appreciate your feedback and love to engage with everyone who listens to the podcast. So thank you once again for listening. If you connected with what you just heard, please subscribe, rate and review the podcast. You can stay connected by following our Instagram, Authentic Wednesday Podcast, and visiting our website, AuthenticWednesday.com. Remember, authenticity is a journey, not a destination.